This is one of my favorite eyeshadows ever. So if you're wanting a smoky eye tutorial, you found the right video. You're gonna learn how to do this. We're gonna start with a pot concealer, but I'm only gonna apply this from here to my brow bone. And the reason why is because I don't really love this as an actual eye base, because once we start to place it where we have friction, anywhere on the eye where we blink or our eye moves a lot, we might have creasing, but I love it to add some coverage. Now I'm gonna take a warm liquid shadow, and I like this because this is going to dry down and we're not gonna have any kind of creasing. So let's just place it. I'm gonna take the tip of a fluffy brush and start to transition and diffuse it. Now it's about to get wild, so get ready. Smoky eyes are really and truly quite frightening while we're in the process of them, but you just have to trust that process. Now we're gonna take a black eyeshadow base, and I'm gonna start by just applying it on my natural lid. And what I mean by that, do you see where my fold is? I'm just gonna apply it within those lines. I'm gonna take a short, dense brush like the C31 here, and I'm gonna start to transition it. I am gonna transition it out, but applying where we applied it at first, it's gonna be a pretty good guideline to make sure that we don't apply too much. Okay, just keep tapping it where we want it. Now a small brush is gonna be key for this next step. Push that right into the top part of the black. That's gonna be our first transition. Fill in all of these little gaps. Don't worry about things like this. We're still gonna put something on the lid. Once you get into these darker colors, this small brush, it's the key. These big fluffy brushes, they don't give us the control and precision. And that's what happens a lot of times when we're not enjoying our smoky eye. We've kind of lost control of it. I'm gonna use this shade, and we're just kind of transitioning over into the next shade. After this shade, it's gonna be this shade, and then I'm just gonna use that one. And we're just transitioning this one. This one's gonna go above that second shade we laid down. Now we can switch to a larger brush. We're gonna use the side of the brush. You're gonna get a really even transition when you use the side of the brush. Look at how smooth that is. Just like concealer, we're gonna even out this base before we set it. This is actually one of my favorite eyeshadow colors of all time. It looks like a galaxy. Maybe that's why they named it Galaxy. Now we're just gonna take this and tap it right on top of that tacky base. And we don't want this to creep out of the socket too much. So just keep relaxing and seeing where you're placing it. Fallout is gonna be completely normal with black eyeshadow. We're gonna clean it up. And I like blurred edges with the smoky eye. So let's grab some micellar water on a big fluffy brush. And we're gonna take our brush, the tip of it, and we're just gonna start to blur these edges. And I like to do this kind of all the way around here. This is my favorite waterline liner ever. Look at that, and I'm gonna do the top too. It just glides right on. Now's the time to grab the biggest lashes in your collection, because a smoky eye can disguise them. So we finished the top part of the smoky eye, but what we might notice now is how terrible our under eye starts to look. And what's happening is that black is just pulling all of the blue, the green we might have under here, or the purple. So we're gonna need just a touch of color corrector. So my under eye is pulling a little blue, so I'm gonna use peach, tiny amount. Also, we only wanna color correct where we're having the issue. So we wanna use a small brush. I don't need to bring that corrector down here. That might mix into my foundation. But what I wanna do is just correct right where I need it, and we already see such a difference. Now let that completely dry, but if you find that it's still a little too wet, you could always use the smallest amount of some translucent powder on top, but use it with a very small fluffy brush. Now we're just going to apply our foundation like we always do. This is my Cover FX Power Play foundation. Now we're gonna take the smallest amount of foundation on a fluffy brush. The more fluffy the brush, the more diffuse the application. And we're just gonna continue to melt that in. And then we're gonna take it over this way. And I'm even gonna do this around my brows. Around our brows is where we tend to get a little bit of cakiness. So what I like to do is I'd already removed any excess brow gel that might have been around here, and then I'll take a fluffy brush and apply the product. That way it's nice and smooth. I want to go a little bit more full coverage today, so I'm going to use my Hourglass concealer. The shade I use is Silk. Now I'm going to use that wet concealer to my advantage. It's going to slow down the drying process of this liner right here. Blend it so seamlessly. We are going to need to transition it a little bit. I got a tip for that. I dipped into our next transition shade, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tiniest amount of this clear eyeshadow base. See that? The tiniest amount. And now I'm going to go under here, and what happens is it just turned it into a liquid shadow. Focus. There we go. It just turned it into a liquid shadow, so we're going to be able to transition this and not have any fallout. This is actually a major smoky eye tip. You don't want to go too bright with your under eye setting powder. I also grabbed a little bit of the eyeshadow I want to continue to transition with on the tip of the puff. And the reason you don't want to go too light with your powder is because, again, that black just needs a lot of balance, and using a shade closer to your skin tone is going to make sure that it doesn't go too light and cast shadows. One of my favorite smoky eye tips, grab some bronzer just on the tip of this brush, and we're just going to stamp it up towards the temple and connect this. It gives the most seamless blend to a smoky eye. And here is our finished smoky eye. Now save this video for later so you can recreate.